All right, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of Heart of the City. Today we are in City Barbers in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. And today we're going to talk about the difference between good and great and how it is not a fine line to separate the two. But before we begin, Casey, hit that intro. Welcome back. Before we begin, want to welcome everybody that we have with us today. And to my left, I got John, Big Papa Easton. Welcome, John.
How's it going?
Going really well, man. How about you?
Can't complain.
And then in front of us as well, we got the owner himself. We got John Cook, aka Pops. Pops, welcome.
Good morning, Ace. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, man. Doing really well. So the difference between good and great. I really want everybody to know that it is not a fine line that separate the two. It is a valley. It is a gorge that separate the two. Good is a part of all of our lives. It is comfort. It is satisfaction. It is doing the minimum or doing what you need to do to know that the job is done. But that's not where it ends. That's not how you transcend and how you enter excellence. And I really want to focus on the difference between the two and through comparisons, but also, through examples and how can we get more people to be more excellent in their daily lives and how to push themselves more and more and more. Kind of begin, I'm going to go over to you, John. When you kind of hear that phrase, between the difference between good and great, what's kind of the first thing that goes through your head?
First thing that kind of goes through my head is there's always a tier system with anything and anything that you buy. And I'm a big old denim nut, so kind of the analogy I have lined up for this. Good, you have like your Levi's and stuff like that, things that you can find at a department store. They're good, they're great, like they cover your body, they do what they need to do, but that's it. Then you have your next tier, you have your raw, your salvage denim, and that stuff's great. That stuff's going to last you 5+ years if you take care of it, and it's actually going to morph to your body and show that character and actually age with you instead of just being fast fashion and you throw it away when you're fucking done with it. Sorry. But, it also depends on what you want out of life. Like, if you just want good, that's cool. Like, more power to you. But there's more to it. If you hitting that next level, that next tier, finding stuff that's great, it's going to bring more fulfillment to your life, and you're also going to be able to turn around and hopefully enrich the lives around you because you have more to give.
I love it. I love the analogy and the story kind of even through denim. I just think it's one where no matter what topic, what industry, what thing you can talk about, there's levels. There's different tiers to it all. There's good and there's great in everything. I always think about good. It's we've all had a good meal. We've all read a good book. Not that it's the worst thing that's ever happened, but it's not memorable. Greatness is what you remember. Greatness is in excellent leaders, people that change the world. You can be thinking all the way back to Martin Luther King, go back to the Wright brothers, Nikola Tesla. Greatness is the things that we all remember and that really transcend humanity, culture, the artists out there that are putting their greatness into their music, into their work. That's how you really impact and influence the people around you. Pops sounded same question to kind of lead the conversation. When you're just initially thinking about the difference between good and great, what goes through your mind?
Well, the biggest thing for me is probably more the concern of culturally right now, it's not acceptable to be great. So I have a little bit different approach. Right now, if you want to be great at something, you're an extremist. You're addicted. Oh, you're working too many hours. Oh, you're too passionate about it. You're giving too much of a commitment to that. And there's this whole movement right now of like, being soft. They hide it under the term of self-love and self-care and different things like that. And I think in a big part of our society, greatness is on the verge of extinction because you can't be great. You get looked down upon if you're trying to be great in anything. You're selfish. And I think that's a big concern right now because this whole, whether it's cancel culture, soft quitting, take care of yourself, you shouldn't be working 50, 60 hours. Fuck, you can't get people to work 40 hours, 30 hours. You talk to people anymore about like, how much time are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking to work full time. What's that to you? 15 hours. You're not going to become great at anything in 15 hours. But I think that's, when I think about good and greatness, I always think about sports. I think about your Michael Jordans. I think about your Tom Brady's. These guys are great, and we need that. We need people to be great in society. We need that elasticity in our community. And I think it's on the verge of extinction right now, just because of culturally what everyone's trying to get everybody else to do. And I believe it's just kind of, hey, I don't want to work hard, so I don't want anyone else to work hard. So I'm gonna shame them on social media. I'm gonna throw up a post about you just got to have self-love and you got to have this. That's what when I start thinking about good and great, not to take a negative approach, but I'm really concerned for the greatness.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that because almost ironically, we maybe demonize it, or it's too aggressive, or it's a negative connotation towards what it takes to be great. But every single one of us, we have people we look up to, whether it is celebrities, athletes, business entrepreneurs. We all have people we look up to, and I can promise you, if you go to dinner with those people and you talk to them, they're obsessed about whatever they're known for. They're absolutely obsessed. They're doing way more than 50, 60 hours a week, and they've probably been doing it for decades. That's what it takes to be great. We might demonize it, through the culture right now.
I don't think you can be great at anything 50, 60 hours a week. Elon Musk, what does he work? 90 something hours a week?
Does he stop?
No.
You think Michael
he's awake, he's working.
You think Michael Jordan worked 50, 60 hours a week? Fuck no, he didn't.
Of course not.
I think to be good, you're in the 50, 60 hour week. I think greatness doesn't even start to probably the 75 hour mark. And why do you have to associate it with hours? It's time. It's commitment. It's time doing the same thing, dedicated to what you're doing. I don't think you can even get great until you're 75 plus hours into something a week.
I agree. And it doesn't...
That's just me. And the conversation of good, it takes a lot to even get good at something.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort. And
just to get good at it.
When you're really talking in that great conversation, that 75 hours plus a week, doesn't mean you physically have to be inside the barbershop for 75 plus hours.
No, but it can be studying, watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, reading books, self-reflection. It can come in a lot of working on relationships. I'm talking about the people that are Netflixing, and I'm talking about the guys sitting on the couch smoking weed. I'm talking about the guys that just they want to do the minimum.
Yep.
And somehow in our society, doing the minimum is not only good, it's great. And it's so far.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're lying to you. They're making you feel like you're doing what you need to be doing. You're doing good enough, great enough. But at the end of the day, how much wasted time are you really doing? If you put half of your amount of wasted time into something, into yourself, into your work, into your business, you're getting a lot closer to that greatness level. And to segue into that, where I want to talk more about great leaders, where I think it's so apparent when you think about a leader, you're always like, okay, you got 10 people you're in charge of, 20 people, anything bigger. But I don't necessarily want to just focus on leading a group right now. I want to focus on even just leading yourself, because it does start with yourself. I like talking about leaders instead of people, because at the end of the day, if you don't lead yourself to the gym, or if you don't lead yourself into healthy habits or eating healthy, or lead yourself into not watching Netflix and YouTube that for entertainment, but using that more for, work and growth, you got to lead yourself. So every single one of us are a leader in our own world. You don't just wake up and you just pop into the gym and you're there. You gotta get your ass up and you gotta get your shoes on and you gotta get in your car and you gotta get going to it, or you gotta go down in the basement and really start putting in the work. Or, if you wanna, you're not just gonna wake up and you're already in that cold plunge waking you up. You gotta get your ass in there, and it's hard. And even though once you can lead yourself, hopefully you can lead more people and, progress more people's lives as well. But at the end of the day, we're all leaders in our own world right now, and it does start with you. And that's one thing that, I appreciate from you. I've been here for 7 years with you, and, our first 15 minutes outside talking just for a little interview, I could tell right away the type of person that you were. And not only were you a great leader with what you were focusing on, you were telling me so much about how you respect and all the barbers that are underneath you and what you're really caring about, but I could tell you take a lot of pride and leadership in your own life. And that was apparent within 30 seconds of talking to you. And I think when you're surrounded by somebody that puts that much effort into themselves or puts that much growth into their life, that energy or that electromagnetic field that's coming out of us, you feel it. When you can meet a stranger on the street and you can tell that they got their life together, that they're really putting in that effort.
Do you think everybody needs to lead?
Lead themselves, yeah.
No, just be a leader. Do you think everybody needs to be a leader? I do.
I do too. I think it's
I think
a much
life
better
is.
world.
I think life in your circle that you spend time in is like a relay race, and I think that everybody needs to lead at some point, and we do that here in the shop all the time. There's more times than not that I'm like, this is all you, John. Just figure it out. Take care of it. What am I going to tell you that you haven't experienced since we've been open? And same thing with you, Ace. Like, just, okay, figure it out. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, figure it out. And I think that the problem or the challenge comes when people are on the relay team, but they never want to take the lead. And that's where the problem comes. Because I do think there's a ton of value and a ton of growth for everybody getting their moment to lead, but not being asked to lead. Just naturally knowing, like, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what elevates people. But I also think that that's what, like, constantly changes your circle. Because, I use the analogy of passing a basketball to somebody. How many times do I need to pass him the ball and he's not going to shoot it or pass it or do something else before you just stop passing the ball to that person? You want to coach him. You want to help him. Hey, I'm going to pass you the ball. When I do that, this is the play we're going to run. How many times, though, do you really do that and they don't take advantage of it? And other people, they get it. They see it, and that's who you want to keep in your circle. That's who you want to keep in your team. But far too many times, I see people that don't want to lead ever, but they don't want to be led either. And that's super tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not willing to lead, that kind of makes you a follower. And then if you don't want to be led,
you're on your own island. And that's not productive.
You are,
for
but then these
business at all.
people are on an island trying to be on a team or, do something else. It doesn't work. I had this all the time. All the time in my previous business when we were doing trucking, I had this all the time. You kind of have guys into teams a little bit. It's just the way it works. When you're running that many employees, you have to have things kind of broken up. not really team leaders, but team leaders and different things like that. And nobody wanted to be the team leader because nobody wanted the responsibility. Even though it had extra pay, had a company vehicle, nobody wanted it because it had an added responsibility. And these guys at the end of the day, when the shift got over, just wanted to veg. They wanted to go to the bar. They just wanted to sit down. They didn't want to do paperwork. They didn't want to be accountable. They didn't want to jump on a call with me at 9:00 at night, go over the day. But then when the leaders try to rally them up, like, hey, we got to make a change. We got to do this. Oh, fuck that. I'm not doing that. That's a huge problem. I mean, I had that problem 25 years ago.
Still here. It's human nature.
Well, it's even worse now because now culturally, we've told everyone, you don't need to be great. You don't need to be a leader. Do the minimum to stay off someone's radar. Do just enough to pay your cell phone bill, sleep on your friend's couch, kind of do whatever. Just skate. Just skate on through.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't work because most of those guys don't want to be led because I'm independent. I don't have to do that. You don't have to tell me what to do. It's a tricky position.
It is. And I'm going to go back to your kind of relay comment so for sake of argument, say you have a group of people that everybody does feel like they are the leader. They have what it takes to be the leader. I'm going to kind of simplify it here. This is, I've listened to this before. An author kind of mentioned this. I can't remember her name, but she always used the kind of relationship analogy. You got two people kind of leading a relationship together where the common conversation is you go 50-50. And her response is a relationship is not 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20, sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's 100-0. And what that means is sometimes, life happens. We have hard days, big things kind of go on that sometimes you do need a break. But when you have your partner or a business colleague that can kind of pick up your slack because they're also a leader, a leader is someone that's able to do 100% and get the job done all by themselves. But if you got a pack of leaders or you got a relationship of leaders, you can share that load a little bit more. It's your time. Like, we need you to be that relay a little bit more than I can be that relay right now. If you're just kind of down, you just need to be in your emotions just a little bit, and you can only give 10%. It's all right. That's being a human being. But you need your partner or a colleague to pick up that 90%. At the end of the day, 100% of the work needs to get done. And when you do have a group of leaders, it's easier and it's better and it's way more productive because you're not always going to get 100% from everybody all the time. It's life happens. It's a very difficult thing to ask out of somebody, but you need to be able to pick up the slack. Being a true leader really means if nobody else was here, you would still be able to get the job done. If you want something, if you have a goal in mind and you really want to get it done, whether that's a business achievement, a personal achievement, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. What it takes to get there doesn't matter because you're thinking about that goal. You're thinking about that big picture. Who cares what happens along the way? That's part of the process. There's good, bad, ugly. There's fun stuff, but no matter what way you live your life, that stuff's going to be coming around no matter what. So you might as well have a big goal in mind and have that focus to get there and go through whatever it takes to get there.
How true do you think this is? I think the reason there's a problem with leadership is because leadership is future. You're thinking about the future. And I think the younger, newer generation, they don't think about the future. They don't care. I'm just living for the now. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just living for the right now. And so if you're not thinking about the future, leadership doesn't really come into it because leadership takes planning, it takes growth, it takes experience, it takes time, opportunity, and that's something these guys are missing, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, well it's complicated because I'm one of those people that I care so much about being present. Being right here, right now. When you're with somebody that isn't here right now, you can't get anything done. You know, you're usually thinking about the past, or they're either being sad about the past, or they're being anxious about the future. You know, when you're surrounded by someone that's constantly not present in that moment, you're not getting anything done. But if you're only living in the right here, right now, and being present, and especially if your discipline is not to a high level, we see what people choose. You know, you choose what's easy, you choose what's fun. You know, you're going to be sitting on your butt, you're going to be watching Netflix, you're going to be watching the new show, way more than you should be doing. Not just as your decompressed time, you're doing hours on hours on hours.
Well, let's bring it to the barbershop. Let's bring this whole leadership, good, great to the barbershop. It's no secret how I feel about the type of personality that gets attracted to our industry. And it starts with the schools. Shame on you guys. Absolutely fucking shame on the schools, because the schools are selling something that's not real. The schools are selling you this independent life. You work for yourself. You're your own person. That's how they suck people into this industry. There is nothing further from the truth. But the school doesn't care. The school has one job: get them licensed. That's it. The school gets paid, and they don't give a shit if you know how to cut hair. Even more, they don't care. I don't care if you have any people skills. And we pull this talent of, you can't tell me what to do. I'm my own person. I'll come when I want. I'll leave when I want. Oh, but give me a place to do all this. Market to bring me customers, because I don't know how to get my own customers. Well, teach me how to cut hair, because they didn't teach me in barber school. Please and thank you. Do I really have to say that to a client as they leave? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But that's what we attract into it. So I think that's one reason that we have a tough time even getting good in our industry. I would tell you right now, in my opinion, there's some great barbers in our industry, and there's some great cutters. I know some fabulous cutters, shitty barbers, terrible barbers. Man, they can cut, but they got no people skill. They definitely have no leadership skill. Hell, they can't even lead themselves. Ever. You want to get them to play as a team and work in the same environment? Never happen. And then you put them in a suite by themselves, they're out of business because they're not disciplined enough to even come to work. And it doesn't matter how fresh and crispy that haircut is. You're going to fatigue your client. Your client isn't going to wait for that. They're not going to play those games. The whole reason City Barbers is in business is because a barber couldn't keep his appointment with me. That's a story for another day. We're in business because a barber at a barbershop that's no longer in business could not keep an appointment with me. And I had a standing appointment every Friday, 2:00. Couldn't come back from lunch on time. Sitting there waiting for him for an hour and a half, 3:30. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And I got up and walked out. That's the start of City Barbers.
Hey, other people's mistakes will make other people's fortunes. But it's we're in the service industry. You know, it's nobody's writing a book about how disciplined the service industry is.
They're not. Why aren't they? John, why aren't they? Where's that book? Where's that book on like how to actually treat your clients?
There needs to be one.
Right here.
Yeah.
It's the new audio book. The best thing you got in this industry.
Guys, we do things here that blow people's mind. The one thing that we do here that I've never had done anywhere. We picked this up because it got done to me one time in Italy. And I brought it back here. I was in Italy. I was vacationing. I went to a restaurant. At the end of the restaurant, at the end of my dinner, it was pouring rain. And the owner of the restaurant opened the door for me as I left the restaurant. Not like skinny boy, fat boy, open it, sneak out. He got out in the rain, opened the door, shook my hand, told me thank you for supporting it. And I know both of you remember this because you were both working here when I came back. I came back from Italy, and I said, from now on, every barber opens the door for a client as they leave. That is one of the number one feedback I get from clients. It's different. But that's a start of recognizing that good is not good enough. And you'll have barbers that work here and they just can't figure it out. You got to ask them 100 times. And then you got to get stern with them. If you're going to work in my shop, you're going to open the door for people as they leave.
Yep. I mean, that's been like the hardest thing to drill into people.
Why is
I
that?
have no idea.
It
It's
is
so simple.
So simple.
Yeah. Well, you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times, but how you do one thing is how you do everything.
So true.
And it's so it's so obvious when you meet that person that is so disciplined with everything they do. You just know that's how they live their life with absolutely everything.
I mean, it's the quote we have sitting on our washing machine by Giorgio Armani. To create something exceptional, your mind has to be relentlessly focused on the smallest detail.
We do. We got that set on our dryer.
It's been there for like 4 years.
Every day. And I'll bet you even in the shop right now, people working, if you covered that up and asked them what was on the dryer, I have a handful of barbers in here, don't even see it. They're just blind to it. It's a subtle reminder. Guys, my shop's not perfect. I mean, we always strive for greatness, but it starts at the top. It starts with me. Try and show you guys. Try and give you the tools. Try and give you everything else. I personally, I don't want to be involved in anything good. Good is, yeah, it was good. I want to be great. And if I can't be great and I can't build a team that's great, I just don't want to do it. I'm not a sore loser. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you've been on
because I've had great. I have great with you guys. I have other great barbers. I just want everyone to be great. I want the shop to be great.
I mean, it's the quality lifestyle, and you've been living that for a long time. And once you're really committed to that mindset and that reality, you can't go backwards. Once you start going backwards, you try something backwards, it's 10 times worse than it was before. It is terrible.
But how come good doesn't rub off to great?
Well, I think it is because it is such a big gap. You don't just wake up one day and be like, all right, I'm great today. Like I was good back then and now I'm great. It's a journey. It's a full-blown mindset that you have to change.
It's a lot of real estate. There's a lot of fucking runway between good and great.
I mean, it's years of compound effect.
Yeah. But most people, even if you put them, look, we can have 4 great barbers in the shop and one that's pretty good. Depending on who that barber is that's pretty good, I can make them great in no time, or they're just never going to get there. And you can figure that out in about 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we do so many things that we do in here with apprentices and things like that. People call me from other barbershops around the country all the time. Tell me how your apprenticeship works. We're dating them. We're just going to give them the opportunity.
Yeah. See what they have in them. Like, because they only they really know.
I don't need to give somebody 2 years in this shop. I can see everything I need to see in 30 days. And I'll be honest with you, I can usually see it in about 7. But I give them 30 before I really make up my mind. 7 days. And I've been wrong. Don't get me wrong. I've clearly been wrong on people. But it's like, you would think if you put 4 out of 5, the old saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Show me your circle, I'll show you what you're going to look like in 5 years.
Mhm.
I believe that wildly, but sometimes it just doesn't work because it's not just the environment you're in. It's like, and we're not here to talk anyone into anything. We're just here to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, you got to do it.
I mean, we're not here to talk clients into what we're offering. I'm not here to talk barbers into what we're offering. Look, this is who we are. This is what we are. This is our DNA. I'm not going to change up things wildly. I change them a little bit. I'm always trying to improve it. You're not going to wake up one day and walk in here and just have TVs and bumping house music and everyone wearing NBA jerseys. It's just not going to happen. Oh yeah, I forgot headphones and wearing their headphones while they're cutting hair because they got to get the beat right.
I get crispy fades.
I mean, you got to, join us and elevate us. That's what we're after. If that's not what you're going to be, whether that's a barber or a client, we want
do you think
people
I'm
to join
getting
us.
shortchanged as an owner if I bring someone in and they don't elevate us? It's
Yeah.
kind of selfish.
Honestly, it's disrespectful.
Well, it is, but it wasn't. And I'll be honest, it wasn't always that way. This is something. This is a new culture. Why is it the business responsibility to elevate everybody? I got 8 years. I know what I can do for any barber that walks through that door. I know what I can do for their career. I know what I can do for their education. I know what I can do for their personal growth. I know what I can do for everything. There's no risk working for me. When did this change, though, that somebody walking through that door didn't make the business great? It's changed.
It is. It seems like more
And it's not
people-
just the barbershop. It's every business.
Yeah. They want to be carried up the mountain or led up the mountain instead of leading the charge up the mountain.
You see this in sports. You see it with coaches. I remember coaches used to coach at a school or a team 30 years. Look at Jerry Sloan.
Pop.
And then it changed. I'm going to tell you, in today's climate right now, you may not even get a year as a coach. You lose 4 straight, you're gone. You get 1 year in the NFL, and if you don't pop, you're gone. Why doesn't that translate down? And people are like, oh, because I'm not making millions and millions of dollars. Well, that's a choice you made somewhere. I say this all the time. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, and it's kind of funny. I want to fucking play for the Lakers. I still do. But you got to have some reality. I'm not going to play for the Lakers. I want to. I would love to. But that's not reality. It doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter what your job title is. You should be great. And you should be in everything that you do, because that translates to your church group, and that translates to your home life, and that translates to your friends and your family and everything else that you do.
Yeah, and going back to what you kind of started on is, when you have 4 great barbers and you have the one that's good, environment's a big deal. Your environment is arguably the biggest influence out there. And how I kind of view it, going back to our very first episode, and we've touched on it on every episode since, is it's a mentality. It's the growth mindset or the victim mindset. And if you are that 5th person that say you're good right now, but you have that growth mentality, or you're working towards and working through that growth mentality, you put yourself in an environment with 4 people being great and being excellent and really doing it, you're going to join them really fast. If you're somebody that has that mindset and has that desire and actually willing to put in the work, and you start surrounding yourself with better people, you will become those better people, and you will grow really, really, really fast. But if you're that 5th barber or that 5th person and you're the victim mentality in that good world, you're just going to distance yourself. You're going to start putting blame elsewhere because you're not willing to put in that work. You're not willing to adapt and grow with that. You don't, for whatever reason, you don't see the value in what they're doing. You don't you don't want to be the follower, but you also don't want to lead to greatness either. So that's when you start separating yourself, putting yourself more on an island, and then now you have 4 people working together and 1 person not working with the whole
Well,
group.
we can see that quick. When that happens, you can see it quick, which I don't understand. See, I don't get this because, like, even when I was 15 and 16 doing jobs, I was doing jobs. Even if I gave my 2 weeks notice and I left, it was more important to me on how they remembered me when I left than maybe the work that I did there. And it's like, if the goal is to own your own shop or the goal is to just be a part of something, like, we talk about this. The culture of the shop is not me. The culture of the shop are the people that work here. So it's always funny to me when a barber comes to me and they have an issue. It's like, well, I don't like this, I don't like that. I'm like, you have more of your DNA on that than I do. What do you want me to do? Oh, I want you to tell so-and-so, and then you tell so-and-so that. Well, I don't want to. That's where the problems come in. Because your 2 DNA, Sticks, Samantha, Peaches, Austin, Sean, Therese, Chris. Did I miss anyone?
No, you got us all.
That's the DNA in the shop. That's the DNA. You guys don't like it. You guys, it's kind of up to you guys to fix it.
You gotta have pride in your work and in your environment and
Gotta
with
have leaders.
yourself. If everybody's a leader, you'll have those tough conversations and you'll work through them.
Even if everyone's not a leader, but someone is willing to be led, you can fix that problem. This is where it comes into, though. I'm not a leader, and I don't want to be led. That's where the problem is. And that's what I hate about schools.
Mm-hmm. It's selfish. And we're living in a world with a lot of selfish people out there.
And not to get totally off topic, but I do feel that there's another movement happening in our industry, whether it's barbering, whether it's cosmetology, whether it's esthetician. That movement right now is, I feel there's a major washout coming. I say this all the time on my social media. The easy money area is over. And now these guys realizing they have to work. They don't want to work as hard as it takes, so they're on to the next move. They're mowing lawns, they're tattoo artists, no offense to any of those industries. Hell, maybe they're running dumpsters. I don't fucking know. But I do feel that we are full steam in that movement. And I feel that a lot of guys are still getting tricked. And I don't think the schools are being honest and transparent. And if you're a school and you're listening to it, shame on you. You guys know exactly. You're clickbaiting these guys. Why didn't somebody run a school and actually tell them how hard it really is and actually give them some skills? I got a novel idea. Run a school without financial aid. Run a school where you don't get paid just because they graduate. Run a school that the student has to self-pay and see the value in what you're doing. Run a school that you guarantee him placement. Run a school that you guarantee him 1,000 haircuts while he's getting his training. The guys don't do it because that's not their clients. You want to get rich quick? Six months. Be your own boss. Answer to nobody. Show up when you want, leave when you want. You make $150,000 a year. I'll show you a barbershop that charges $150 for haircuts.
They sell you the dream.
They graduate, drop into my DMs. Yo, you hiring?
Nope.
They don't get a response. Really? That's your introduction? But it all comes back to that good and great. And I think that there's shops that don't even require you to be good.
No, I mean, well, that's why so many shops are booth rent. As long as you're paying, your monthly rent, they don't care what you do. They don't care if you show up, if you cut hair, if you're growing, if you're doing anything there. No, it's not all of them, but that's a lot.
Do you
of
care
'em.
who lives in your basement as long as they pay rent?
You should care.
I would.
I care
Oh,
who
I don't
lives
care.
next to me, and I don't even
Think,
talk to them a whole
think
lot.
about this, though. And this is, all you guys charging booth rent. And I know one pretty close to me that does it. The booth rent thing is bullshit on an owner. It is the most selfish system out there. Oh, yeah, you got a job. Pay me, bitch. They have no investment in your future, your growth, your development, your clients, nothing. It is the easiest money in this industry. Put your comments below how wrong I am and how much you hate me. Booth rent is killing our industry. I said it. Booth rent is killing the barber industry because there's no investment from the owner for personal growth. It's the biggest crock of shit this industry has seen.
Yeah. And from my experience, from being a part of a brand and a shop where everybody's invested from the top to bottom, it's amazing. The type of things that you can achieve, the type of energy that you can feel, the growth that's been made across the board, seeing people that have a year or two of what they're able to do and how they're able to grow and how they're able to improve, and then obviously, having an owner that's actually willing to invest time, money, effort into you and wants you to grow and improve. I mean, again, you talk about an environment. Your environment is going to be your biggest influence. If you have that environment that is constantly asking more out of you to be great, to be better, but they're showing you and they're doing it as well, it makes it easier and it makes it more worthwhile. You're working with people you really, really love and care about, and you're both growing together. I mean, it's a healthy relationship right there. And being in a healthy relationship is one of the most enjoyable things you could possibly have on this planet. And then kind of going on maybe a bright, more positive side of that, if you're if you're newer in the industry or you're getting into it, use this as a challenge. Like if this is something that you really want to be, if this is something that you really want to be a part of, and you think you can elevate your life and elevate your client's life, I mean, use this as an opportunity. If base level is good, all you have to do is be great. If you just got to be putting in that effort. If you're willing to grow and willing to put yourself out there, you're going to surpass so many people in the industry.
And I'm not saying, look, I'm not taking a negative stance, but somebody has to be the voice of the industry of where the problem is. And the problem in schools and the problem in all that is just that. It's the booth rent. But you're right. It's a fantastic industry. It's treated my family well. It's treated your families well. We're a staple in Salt Lake. People would be devastated if we weren't here.
From all around the world and the country. I mean, how many of my guys fly in from different states that I get to talk to? And they're so excited to come into here. And it's like, yesterday, have a client that I haven't seen. He moved away 3 years ago. Moved in 2-3 different states at this point. And he finally came on back for business. And he was so excited to sit in my chair. And it's just like, God, nobody's doing what I'm doing, what we're doing here.
Because it takes effort. It takes effort.
Mm-hmm. And there's relationships involved with all of that too.
It is. But seriously, guys, if we decided like, hey man, it was, we soprano this thing out and we just fade to black and just, thanks guys, we appreciate it. This is one of those shops that people would talk about like, man, city barbers. And I'm not saying that in a cocky, arrogant way. I'm saying that from customers would miss it.
A caring way.
And we're not saying that if you're not doing it the city barbers way, you're not doing it right. That's not what this is. That's not what I'm saying at all.
There's a niche for everybody.
There is. I mean, there's so many ways you can do it. But man, do it great for God's sake. That's the biggest threat that I see is there's a lot of shame on being great. And I wish there wasn't. I enjoy it. I want to be great at everything I do. I don't want to be mediocre at anything. I really don't. couldn't. I couldn't have that conversation with myself where I'm just like, hey, let's just mediocre this thing out, just do enough to get by. I can't do it.
Seems boring.
It is boring.
I want to touch on one more thing that you said as well is, you said it 1,000 times, and I've kind of adopted this belief is, we love oversaturated industries. Why? There's so much demand. It's the proof in the pudding. There's so much demand when you're in a saturated industry. All you have to do is be better than the people around you in the industry. All you have to do is be great and put in that effort. The demand is there. It is a silver platter for you to take it, but you got to go work in the kitchen. You got to do the dishes. You got to be the chef for a little bit. You have to work.
Got to be better than 50% of the people that are doing it. Guys, there's 9 shops within 2,000 feet of this shop. 9 barber shops within 2,000 feet of where we're sitting right now. There's a lot of demand. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. It means that, yeah, a lot of guys want haircuts, but you got to figure out how to do it and how to be great at doing it, which both of you have figured out. You guys have figured out how to be great. I have other barbers in the shop that have figured out how to be great. And we've had a lot of barbers come through this door that will work for us that have figured out how to do it great. We've had a lot of educators come through the door that are clearly great at what they do. But that's what we're here about. We're here about the greatness. And I'm with you, Ace. Like, I think good and great aren't even on the same parts of the map. And I think that's what makes it so hard is sometimes people look at that step from good to great as so massive that they don't want to try. Because it is scary. But I think more times than not, you both have an opportunity right now to make somebody great. But sometimes they're their own worst enemy because it's so scary because they look at, we get this all the time in the barbershop. The challenges of somebody starting at City Barbers today are different than when you guys started. When you guys started, the price was a lot less. The pressure to cut great haircuts was a lot less. But we also didn't have the power of the brand behind us, the reputation, the Google reviews,
Started
and all
from
that.
scratch.
Right. Now you take a kid out of barber school and it's like, you got to cut a $150 haircut. And if it's not the best haircut of their life, you're going to do it for free. It's a lot of pressure to put on these guys. That pressure is different though, because they have 8 years of the shop pushing behind them. It's just different. But the one thing I've noticed is that takes a different personality because not everybody wants to jump into a NASCAR race at 200 miles an hour and go full speed. They can't do it. Their personality just can't do it. So the pressures are different. Not one's not easier than another. It's just different. Based on where the shop is and what it's doing. You guys had different challenges when you started, and these guys have different challenges now. And the hard part is finding that personality that will excel where the shop is, because the shop's not going backwards. It's like the old cartoons. You watch somebody run trying to catch a train. This train's going faster than it's ever gone. And so you got to find someone that can run fast enough to catch up to the train and jump on. And that's where I think the challenge in the industry is right now. Otherwise, you got to go put your time in and you got to get your cut count up at a lesser price barbershop where the expectation isn't there. The problem is most guys don't want to break out of that once they get in that. And that's their right. That's okay. But I also think that that's why there's so much demand at the top. Is there a lot of demand for a $10 haircut, $15 haircut? Yeah, because it's just It's just a haircut. It's a commodity. It's just a haircut. They're just trying to get it for the best price they can. If you guys think cutting $20, $25, $30, $40, $50, $60 hair is cool, you ought to see how much demand there is at the top. There is so much demand at the top for greatness, and customers will pay it. These guys are dropping 2.5 on a starter home anymore. These guys are dropping 150 on pickup trucks. These guys are dropping $1,200 to $1,500 on a cell phone. $150 for a haircut is nothing. Nothing. So my advice to all you younger guys that are just getting started out, the greatness and the opportunity is at the top end. It's not at the bottom. Don't get tricked into the bottom end, because that's not where the greatness, that's not where you're going to make an impact. We see this. I see this pretty regularly. Somebody leaves and then later circles back to me and it's like, okay, I want to be great. Help me be great. What should I do with my career? I'm tired of just being middle of the road. I'm tired of like being known for just my fuck off behavior. I want to be taken credible. I want to be taken seriously. I want to be taken as an actual authority. Gotta be great.
Starts with you. Everything that you want, be it first. It's right there.
You guys both figured it out. What advice do you give the younger guys?
Oh,
What do you give someone starting out in barber school right now? I just enrolled in barber school. Monday's my first day. You get invited in to speak, which, by the way, we just don't do, because I get more trouble from schools for telling them what I think. The schools stop inviting me to come in because they don't like what I have to say, because I shatter their bullshit multi-level marketing Ponzi scheme of just trying to get these guys their license. And that's fine. I don't want to go to your school anyway. What do you tell the kid starting Monday?
Oh, man, it's a lesson that I have learned so recently. But it's like, if you have a goal in mind, don't overthink it. Hardest part is just stepping off that ledge. Just do it. Show up. Put your time in. Just move forward. Put one foot in front of the other. Don't overthink it. Don't.
But you're going to school with 100 other people that's like, oh, man, I just want to smoke some weed. I just want to cut some hair. You can't tell me what to do. We're going to open a shop. We're going to sell some shoes. We're going to sell some weed, and then we're going to sell some more weed. There's more of that in Salt Lake right now. There is more of that in Salt Lake right now than there is legitimate barbershops. I know 5 barbershops that sell more weed than they do haircuts.
Yep. I mean, it's just easier said than done, too. Just stay in your lane. Focus on your own shit.
Yeah, but John, you've been there. We went to school together.
Yeah. Watch 2 grown men fight over a Snickers bar out back.
Exactly. You look at the mentality. Really? What do you tell a kid going to barber school today? To be great in this industry, you got 3 minutes. This is the path to greatness. Whether you do it or not, here's my Martha Stewart recipe for cheesecake. Follow this step by step.
I mean, first things first, listen to this podcast. I mean, as silly as it is, obviously we're in the middle of it, is we're giving you as much information as possible. You can do this. Listen to this podcast. But real physical, tangible things. First thing you're going to do, look around at all the other barbershops in the state, closest things to you. You could start with prices, but find where you can tell that there's the most amount of marketing, there's the most amount of effort, there's the most amount of discipline in those barbershops.
Walk into the shop unannounced and see how they treat you.
Yeah.
When people ask me for a job, you know what I tell them? Go visit 20 barbershops and come back and see me. Walk in the door. How they treat you is how they're going to treat your clients.
100%. Go in. Go find that environment that is the cream of the crop of your area.
Find me one barber enrolled in school right now that's willing to go visit 20 barbershops. No effort. Great advice, though. It's great advice.
100%. And then, keep going at it is, there's 10 things to being a barber, and number 10 is cutting hair. There's 9 more important things. Yeah, you're going to focus on number 10 because it's the technical side. It's what you're uncomfortable with. It's what you're kind of nervous about.
It's where the school puts all the focus.
Is on that number 10. But if
the
you want to be here,
lowest hanging piece of fruit.
if you want to be here 5 years, if you want to be here 10 years, 20 years down
You
the
want
road,
to be here in 12 months.
you got 9 other things you got to be focused on. And it's all about relationship, communication, service, taking care of another individual, listening. It's all of that. It's the human psychology and the human behavior side of life. You're in the people business. You're not in the cutting hair business. Yeah, that's your tool. That is your tool. You gotta get a lot of good education, but there's so much education out there. I mean,
there's more education right now in our industry.
You could never go to school. Get 1,000 mannequin heads. You could enroll for whether it's academies and classes.
I recommend
YouTube.
somebody not going to school.
Just come here.
You can do it.
Do an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a young lady Friday night. I was at an event. She found out I owned a barbershop, and she's thinking about going to cosmetology school. And she wanted my opinion which school is the best. Turned into a 45-minute conversation. I gave her 5 of the best salons for what she wanted to do. She hadn't even thought about this. I'm like, what kind of stylist are you going to be? Extension?
Color.
Colorist? Or a cutter? She goes, what do you mean? I can be all 3. I'm like, you're not going to be all 3. There's too much real estate in all 3 of those. And I told her. She's like, I want to be a colorist. I gave her the 5 best salons, in my opinion. Walk in the door. Hi. I want to be the best colorist the state of Utah has seen. I'm willing to work here for free for 3 years. Who do I talk to? Do those to those 5 salons, and somebody is going to give you an opportunity. That's your pitch. Hi. I want to be the best colorist the state of Utah has ever seen, and I'm willing to work for 3 years at no charge. Who do I talk to? Too many times, hey, how much are you going to pay me? How many hours do I have to work? Great advice, though. What'd you tell him, John? 3 minutes in front of 90 barber students that have drank the Kool-Aid of, you're going to make $200,000 and you answer to nobody.
I mean, my first thing my gut tells me is, hopefully you didn't pay the school already. I mean, if you haven't, let's have a different conversation.
There is a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
Would you have gone to
No.
school?
I already know where this
gone to
question's
school?
going. No.
I probably still would have gone. Because my mind doesn't really... I don't think there was anybody out there at the time that I trusted enough that I would have believed that that was the path. The difference about City Barbers is we've now given you the formula. The formula is out there. But when I was going to school, there was no formula. Most expensive haircut, Salt Lake City, $15 when I went to school. $15. So for me, I would have still gone because just nobody had shown me that there was another way to do it and given me the roadmap to see that. So I still would have gone. But now, if there's a better formula and somebody shows that it works, I wouldn't go to school. And for any of you new guys, I wouldn't go to school. I would approach the 10 barbershops that you look up to most. I'd walk in the door. I wouldn't slide into their DMs. I wouldn't text them. I'd walk in the door and be like, I want to be the best barber the state of Utah has ever seen. I'm willing to work here for free for 3 years. Who do I talk to?
I mean, other than that, find a mentor. Probably the best piece of advice I could give you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here 7 days a week. If you have questions, doors open. Come ask.
Nobody asked.
No.
This is so bizarre to me. Nobody walks in the door and says, teach me to be great. They walk in the door and they say, how much does it pay? Teach me to be great. That's where I think that's where I think the industry is lacking. And look, we stayed true to it. While that wasn't the mission statement the day I opened it, is teach me to be great. That is where we have pivoted to, because now that we're here, it's not about cutting great hairs. That's a given at this level. When was the last time you and I talked about quality haircuts?
7 years ago.
We don't talk about it. Why? It's expected. We talk about being great. We talk about being good leaders. We talk about relationships. We talk about family. We talk about God. We talk about time off. We talk about vacations. We talk about community. We talk about all the things that we can do to be better husbands, better brothers, better siblings, better leaders, better neighbors, just an overall better person. That's what we talk about. But that's all on the path to greatness. And that's why I fucking love being here. And that's why I love fucking working with you guys. It's about greatness. You guys have it.
All right, guys.
Good fucking topic, Ace.
Yeah, thank you.
Great topic.
To wrap things up, don't settle for good. Don't be okay with good enough. Strive for excellence. You can be better. You will be better, and you can be great. Thanks for listening to episode 3 of Heart of the City. We'll see you guys again.